Welcome back to my channel. I'm Films by AW, also known as Anderson West, and today I'm going to be talking about the Kinefinity Mavo LF. Over the last few weeks, my friends at Pro AV lent me out a Kinefinity Mavo LF to test, to see my thoughts, see if it was a system I would ever consider looking into or buying. As a filmmaker, I'm always trying to get that balance of getting as close to something that would be on film and not spending a mortgage on it. My previous short film, The Book of Love, was shot by my friend Ben Halford, a really talented DP, and he shot it in the Alexa Classic, and that was a 13-year-old camera. And the image that came out of it, even though it was a 1080p image, it seemed so much more rich visually as a film. And as a filmmaker, you get reminded that's the industry standard. The problem is, that camera, at the time when it came out, was a 50 grand camera, and it weighs a ton. I want to use a camera that I can really get to know better and know that I can expand from shooting maybe one assistant to a full crew and not feel like I need to rent another camera, or no, this isn't going to be right, or we're going to have to do some sort of Franken rig to get what we want. I want something that does all of that. This is where Kinefinity, and talking about and looking at the Kinefinity brand for the last few years, has been really interesting for me. So here is the Mavo LF Mark II, the Kinefinity Mavo LF Mark II. Really good shape, good size, really good design. I've been really impressed by the size and the weight of it. You know, it's good to the hold. It's not light like a Komodo. It's a bit heavier, but it doesn't feel unnecessarily heavy. You know, it's a very dense camera. The LF stands for large format, so it's a full frame sensor. On this camera is an E mount. You can buy it either without a mount, and it has the Kine mount, which allows you to change between a PL mount and an EF mount really easily. We haven't got that here today. They let me out one with an active E mount and an active PL mount. And the mount rig is really nice. Just 4 screws out, and then you could put on the PL mount. It takes about 5 minutes to switch them out. On the back here, we see that you could put 2 types of batteries on it. You could put a Sony BPU type battery, but then you could put your V mount on this. Normal, I put it upside down. Ooh, what an amateur. Put that on. And again, your V mount will connect just fine. On here attached is this little battery module that you can put NPF batteries on that connects to the camera. And as you change the main battery system, you can still keep the camera powered up. So it's a UPS system really. The Kinefinity 5-inch one is one I've borrowed. It comes with a cable that supplies power. It gives you the vision from the visual of the camera, and you can do rec, stop and start with this. You can access the menus. And let's not forget the lovely viewfinder here. It's a lovely option. It is a lovely viewfinder to use. You know, it's nice to have that option again. You've got 2 SDI ports. They send out a mirror signal. So for instance, if you want to run the overlay on one monitor and the other one you don't, you can't do that. But if you're using the Kine monitor and then you have something separate coming on here, it's totally fine. You have all your professional outs here, including time code, no HDMI though. And on the top of the camera, you have 2 full-size XLRs. Now onto the media, which it's expensive. The media is expensive. It's about $1 grand for 1 terabyte, but specially rated media card. But this has got an NVMe Mark II SSD in here, so that's super fast. But you can also buy a caddy, which I haven't got one, a caddy, and you can buy your own NVMe media, so you can get like a Samsung 2 terabyte one. I think that's like the highest quality one of the best ones you can get, and you can put it into your own caddy for, I think the caddy is 200 pounds. With this caddy, you no longer have to have a card reader. You just need to have one USB-C cable like this, and that plugs directly into the memory card, and then from that memory card, you can just plug that into your computer, drag and drop. Really, really nice system, because, you know, how often we've always, you know, you do we call it idiot check, where you check all your equipment. Have I got my cards, batteries, card reader? If you don't have your card reader, you'll be in a situation where you're trying to dump something off set or offload footage, and you can't because you left your card reader. It's never happened to me because I'm paranoid, so you double check. But it could happen, or worse, your card reader could break, and then you should buy another card reader. So you should always have 2 card readers. So you start thinking of costs, and so whilst you might think, oh, wow, this is expensive for this, it's essentially a card reader as well. Again, really good solution. Put that bad boy in here, you're good to shoot. So one thing to be mindful of, when you turn this camera on, it takes about 45 seconds to actually turn on. That's something to bear in mind. You turn on the menu system, which is quite easy to operate. You can either use touchscreen, but the great thing about it, it's got a great dial button. You click that button, you click the menus there. It has a 6-button screen, bit like the Venice, bit like the Alexa. You could touch, quickly change settings with the dial. I love that. I didn't think the touchscreen was very good. It was very laggy. Coming from a Blackmagic Pocket 6K and going to that, it was very frustrating. Things taking ages to scroll on the touchscreen. I barely ever use the touchscreen because of the menu system that you can get by just touching the dial. Getting into that menu system, it's really easy to understand what's doing what. You have options for resolution, your frame, your imager side. You could, and again, you could shoot an S35 and full frame. And then also you could choose your resolution, and you can get everything up from 6K ProRes all the way down to 1080p. Now, a camera that's just full frame and full frame in 6K or 4K, you can also get that 4K Super 35, which at this price point, the only other camera that does Super 35 and is also 4K, and you can also be full frame, is the FX9, and that is $4,000 more. For frame rates, in OpenGate, you can get up to 48 frames. In full frame, whether it's 6K or 4K, you can get up to 60 frames. You crop down to Super 35 in 4K, and you can get up to 112 frames. There's tons of options there. You won't feel limited, and if you did, you probably need a specialist camera. I really think they missed a massive trick by not finding a way to get internal ND in here. Now, the only reason I can see for this is to quote unquote bring the cost down, but also not to cut the legs off of its higher end edge models, which based on the same body type, but they also have internal ND, and they're both full frame. They're the Edge 8K and the Edge 6K. For me, if they made the camera 800 pounds, it's more expensive because that's the price of the END module, and you would have been hard pressed to find a better solution. Because again, the internal ND just opens that flexibility. Now, again, I didn't test the END. I'll probably do a review on the END at some point down the line, but I know it does that. And the models I looked at when I was at Pro AV did have that. Some of the quirks I find, when you're using the monitor and you put on peaking, the peaking comes on over all the image, including the menu. It's just a little annoying. One thing to be mindful of, the camera doesn't shoot RAW. I believe in their Edge models, the Edge 8K and 6K, they intended to have ProRes RAW, but because of some litigation issues with Red, they're unable to do so. But not having RAW is not really a disaster. Again, most people who shoot in Alexa, which is most of our feature films, TV shows, for years they shot in Apple ProRes 444 XQ or even 422. This camera shoots up to 444 XQ. ProRes is great, and I did most of my shooting in ProRes 422 HQ and 4K. I'd probably go to 444 in 4K, but I wouldn't want to go to 6K and 444. It got me really nervous when you're putting a terabyte memory card in and you're only getting like 30 minutes of footage. That's crazy. I did find myself using the camera as a 4K camera, to be honest, shooting in 4K. If I needed to go to 6K, I probably would shoot LT. The image, I really enjoyed the image. These cameras use the same log curve as the Alexas. I even put some LUTs on that was just, custom made for Alexa. I'm gonna put some of them now, and I really like the look straight away from them. Now, we shot a short film. We got, and being able to have that dual native ISO. So as a dual native ISO of 800 is the base ISO, I think, and then 3200. When I bumped up that ISO inside a church location we're using to get a bit more depth
or depth in the image. There wasn't much noise in the image. Really like that. We had to get a shot of a ladybug, and I needed to crop in to Super 16 to get an image. And I thought what we got from that looked great. I mean, I love the image. I love the image. Shooting open gate, I've got to say, there is something else. I think more cameras need to be able to shoot open gate. Obviously, the sensor they have is based on a mirrorless sensor. I'm not sure what model. Shooting a 3x2 image, there's something almost IMAX about it, you know, that 3x2 frame. As a camera, it just inspired me to shoot. Having options to be in full frame or Super 16 or Super 35 in high resolution, but also being able to try different lens mounts, that opens up different possibilities. You just have all these options that I've not seen on a camera that was also in a professional body in the sub $7,000 price range. And I just think having those options made me feel like this is a camera I could bring to any of the shoots I'd go on, or any of my independent films or commercials, and I'd feel great about using it. I wouldn't feel like, if I wasn't hiring something else in, that I'd be missing out. You got real flexibility there. And I think for me, the type of filmmaker I am, flexibility is key. I just want to say thanks again to Pro AV for letting me borrow the camera for a couple of weeks. If you're in the UK and you want to find out more about the camera, head on over to the website and you can find out more information. I just want to shout out Stuart Swindell, who shot the BTS for me, and Maddie and Drew, who were in the comparison film. They did a really great job. And my friend Mark, that camera nerd, who's also reviewing the camera as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and leave in the comments, what do you think? What do you think? Is it a camera system you'd think about trying? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. All right, everyone, you take care, and remember, stay shooting.